Welcome, everyone. Today we are doing a fantastic webinar, and it is entitled Hootsuite, Microblogging on Steroids. And I am joined today with Frances Flynn Thorson, and she is a social media expert and guru and someone that I respect and admire very much. She has a lot of knowledge in this area, and she's also a HUD homes expert. And all of these things are going to help you, especially if you are working the HUD homes market. My name is Denise Lonis. My company is the Lonis Group, and today Fran and I are going to share what we know with you about Hootsuite. Fran, to start off, I have to tell you that Hootsuite is my favorite toy. I absolutely love it. I think it, first of all, it saves me a lot of time, a lot of energy. It allows me to stay very connected to news that is out there that I want to be informed about. It allows me to see really everything that my clients are doing online, which I love. I get to be connected, and it gives me really timely information about what's happening online there with my clients. So those are some of the reasons why I really love Hootsuite. And just to kind of define what the heck is this Hootsuite, Hootsuite it's like a dashboard that keeps all of your social media sites in one place so that you can view them and see them and go in and interact and make changes. So it's one place to view everything so that you don't have to be logging into 10 of your different accounts. So for me, just the time savings alone is fantastic. So Fran, tell us a little bit about why you love Hootsuite so much.
Okay, well, I love Hootsuite a lot because Hootsuite is something that lets me work with Twitter and also with Facebook, and it lets me work with a variety of social media platforms in a number of ways. It's primarily for Twitter. Twitter is my major application, and what it lets me do is work with it and listen to a marketplace. That's really probably the most important thing that it does for me. It lets me listen to people. It lets me listen to conversations that are happening online. It lets me get a pulse of the market. I watch HUD homes very carefully, very closely, as well as a lot of other things that we're going to talk about shortly. Besides listening, it gives me an opportunity to engage in a very easy way, and we're going to show you how that happens and how you can do that. But engagement is the interaction between me and other people online, and so whenever I make a connection with somebody, that's a point of engagement. Hootsuite makes it very easy to reply and join conversations online. It makes it very easy to share things that other people are talking about online. It makes it very easy to be obvious about what I'm doing and take some of that to the next level. So engagement is absolutely huge. Now, the other thing that it lets me do also, and it lets me do is do a little bit of broadcast. And sometimes, broadcast has kind of a bad rap in social media because people don't like to see people broadcasting a lot, and too many people are using social media to do nothing but broadcast. So if they're just broadcasting and they're not engaging, if they're not really listening to people and they're not interacting, broadcasting alone is not a good thing to do. Broadcast in a measured, balanced way is an excellent thing to do. I mean, certainly when you have an announcement that you're making, when you have a new post on your blog, a new service that you're offering, a new listing as a real estate agent, you have an opportunity to broadcast that message to people across social media on Hootsuite, and that's, again, a very valuable thing to do. Again, broadcast, measure the broadcast, and do that very carefully.
And I want to add one thing here, Fran. I just want listeners to know that the nice thing about Hootsuite is that Hootsuite is, there's an app for Hootsuite for the iPhone. Hootsuite is also available for the Android, for the BlackBerry, even for the iPad. So the nice thing that, in the way that I use Hootsuite is I've got it on, my laptop. I have it on my desktop. I've got it with me when I'm on the go. And especially for me when I am away from my computer, I need something that is going to let me know what is happening. Because for me and for most agents out there, time is of the essence. And having the ability to be able to view all of this on your smartphone or your iPad is a very important feature of Hootsuite.
It's excellent. And it also lets you, Hootsuite also lets you take content and share it in other places. So you can take a content feed, and we'll talk about that a little bit more when we talk about the anatomy of Hootsuite, but you can take content relative to your market or content about HUD homes or content about HUD homes in your market, and you can put that on your blog. You can put a Twitter stream there. You can create conversations on Hootsuite and then take that conversation, just limit that conversation and put it on your blog or your website. So content is a very, very important thing to think about. I think one of the myths, I think of it as a myth, is that it doesn't matter how many people you're connected with or following, or because I do think the numbers are starting to matter a lot. The engagement is a very, very important part of it, but I think that we're going to start to hear a lot more about content as being a very, very important component of this. Certainly the large media companies. If you take a look at Huffington Post, that's a really great example. Huffington Post has a Twitter feed on every single article on that website. They have a Twitter feed with relevant keywords attached to any article. So if you're looking at an article, let's say you're looking at an article about a HUD home, the relevant keywords would be HUD homes, and there would be a Twitter feed on that page about HUD homes. You can take that Twitter feed from Hootsuite and you can embed it on the page. If you have a series of articles in your blog, you can do exactly what Huffington Post is doing, and you can create that type of a content feed on your blog or your website using those Hootsuite embeddable codes that they have. Now, we're going to be getting a little bit technical, and I'm sharing a little bit of technical stuff, so we're not going to get into the really, really nitty-gritty how-tos on all of that today, but I thought about that yesterday and earlier this week. So I've been preparing a series also of tutorials about this kind of stuff. And for anybody here on the call who's interested in having access to that, you can see Denise's and my email addresses. It's denise@thelonesgroup.com or fran@blogmiller.com. Send me a note and we'll send you access to those tutorials because we're going to be putting those on the Club HUD website. But we're going to talk about that in the nitty-gritty. So content is huge. And, of course, having good content and dynamic content on your website that is changing all the time is something that those search engine spiders love because that drives more traffic to your website. And what Hootsuite does, the post, each individual post is something that contains 140 characters or fewer. In 140 characters or fewer, you can post a message, and learning how to do that and being good about that is really, really important. And again, Twitter is the primary use, but you can also post from Hootsuite to Facebook and to LinkedIn. So knowing how to do that is important. It's going to save you a lot of time. So you don't actually have to go to twitter.com. You don't have to go to facebook.com. You can post from Hootsuite, and you can also follow the market. You can also follow those pages. So what's Twitter? How would you describe Twitter, Denise? What is Twitter to you?
Well, to me, Twitter, and the way that I use Twitter is, Twitter for me is the way to start a little conversation or to deliver little tidbits of information, and it's almost a way to say hi or to say, here's something that I'd like to deliver in terms of content. I also like Twitter because it allows me to let people know, what am I doing? Where am I at? Like, I'll give you a great example. It's a way of engagement and connection. I was teaching a class down in the Seattle area a couple of weeks ago, and I sent out a tweet that said, I'm doing my Evolve group in Seattle today. And that went out to all of the people that follow my tweets, and I got a response back from someone that said, oh my goodness, I'm in the area, would love to come and say hi. And it was, and whether or not we got to meet isn't what's important. What's important is that we got to engage. So Twitter is very powerful. A lot of people don't understand Twitter. They believe that Twitter is just, some people think, well, it's annoying. I don't want people to know where I'm at all the time. And it's not just about, saying this is where I'm at. It's really about being present and staying top of mind. And the reason that I love Hootsuite so much is because if I do have something that I want to say, I don't have to go into all these different accounts. I can send out a message and I can decide, and we'll show you this in a few minutes, what accounts do I want this to go to? So for me, it's an incredible time saver, but I really like Twitter because for me, I get to also engage and see what everybody else is doing. And Hootsuite for me is like I kind of call it my spy station. It's my spy dashboard. And when I say spy, I just mean really being able to be on top of what everyone else is doing. So, for example, how I use it is I have every one of my clients, and I'm following every one of my clients. I'm curious to see what they're doing, what's important to them. And what it allows me to do is when I see something that is important to them or that they have posted, I am then able to engage with them. I would never have been able to engage with them had I not have been following them on a system that keeps everything organized. And the reason I love this so much is it's free. You can also pay. There is a Hootsuite version that is, I believe it's $5.99 a month, and you can add multiple accounts to it. And not just for most people that I know, most of my clients, the free version of Hootsuite is enough. So, that's why I love Hootsuite. That's why I do love Twitter. The thing you have to know about Twitter, though, is you have to learn a little bit of a new language, because for someone who expresses themselves with a lot of words, you have to learn how to say what you have to say in 140 characters or less. So the other reason I love it is that it's the same for everybody. It's not like you're going in and you're seeing something that's got 600 characters and something else that has 140. Everyone is limited to that 140. So you really start to learn a new language. So that's how I use it and why I love it.
Yep, it's dynamite. So now we're going to take a little bit of a look at the anatomy of Hootsuite. And of course, we're going to look at Hootsuite as it appears on the desktop. So as Denise said, you can have Hootsuite on your phone, you can have Hootsuite on your iPad, but we're going to take a look at Hootsuite as a desktop client. So managing your Twitter and your Facebook from Hootsuite online. So what you're looking at right now is just an overall view of the page when you look at it online. Arrow right now is pointing at the message entry area where you actually insert your message that you want to send out to everybody who's following you. And again, everybody who is following you sees everything you put out there. As you start to attract followers, they will see what you're putting out there. Other people who will see what you're putting out there are people who are watching just certain word groups or hashtags. A hashtag is a word that has a pound sign in front of it, and some people are just following conversations. For instance, if you are in Bellingham and you create a hashtag about Bellingham, or people are just looking for information about Bellingham, they may see your tweet come up if you use that word in it. So the keywords and the areas of interest that you're working are really, really important to sprinkle in your conversations, because those are keywords that can help attract people to what you are saying and attract clients. The arrow right now is pointing at a number of little avatars. I have the paid version of Hootsuite, and I manage my Facebook fan pages, and I have several different Twitter accounts that I use to talk about various niches, and I'll talk about that in just a second. Across the top, or just underneath those pictures, you see a row of tabs. There are tabs and then columns within the tabs, and those are all based on different topics. The first tab is a home tab, which is kind of your home account, and each tab actually has 10 columns, or you can have up to 10 columns in each tab. Presently, I'm working with about 10 tabs and 10 columns in each tab, so I'm following that, that number of conversations. The more important ones, of course, are on my homepage, but I'm following all kinds of things. Well, we'll talk about that in just a minute because it really, really makes it efficient. The arrow right now is just pointing at a column of engagement. The column it's pointing at right now is the home column, and that's just basically everybody I follow on Twitter. And to be honest with you, that's the one I look at least. I like to look at things in a more concentrated way. I like to look at things more filtered. So think of Hootsuite as a super filter machine because you can filter topics very, very broadly, like HUD homes. You can filter the topics very, very fine. You can talk about your neighborhood. You can get to a granular level about anything with it. So that's one of the beauties of working with it. At the top of the page, the arrow right now is pointing to a little search field, and you can search Twitter and see what's happening by keywords, by a person's name, by their Twitter name. It's called a Twitter handle. My Twitter handle is Frances Flynn, THO, because you're limited to 15 characters. Denise's Twitter handle is Bonus Group, which is a company name. It's definitely a good idea to go with your brand if you can do that. Also, just as an aside, it's a really good idea to establish an account at Twitter with your brand's name, even if you're not engaging presently on Twitter. You want to keep that name and have it for yourself so that nobody else can take it and squat on it. Not that some people won't, but that's happening.
And Fran, I want to just add something here, just to bring people up to this point. There's just a couple of things that I am telling people when they are coming into Hootsuite. First of all, it's extremely easy to set this account up. You basically just go open it up, click on the Sign Up Now button. There's 3 steps really that you need to do. One is you need to create your account, so then you are available to see and you've got the dashboard in front of you. Then you go in and you decide, well, what social networks am I going to add? So it's pretty simple. You create the account, you add the social networks, and then you get to start playing or you get to start managing. And that's what Fran is referring to here is the steps that she's showing you are really now she's created that account. Now she's added some of the social networks. And I just wanted to add, why when you see the columns like this, I just want to point out, for example, how I use these columns. The columns will include things like your home feed. And as Fran talked about, that's going to show you everybody that you're following. And I agree with Fran that a really easy way to use this is she looks at things more as they are in their groups. I do that as well. So what I'm looking for is, imagine that I've got clients. I'm going to look and see, what are my clients talking about and engaging in today? And then I might have a group that I've set up. Maybe it's a news feed, and maybe I want to see what the media is saying today. And so maybe I've got a media column. And then maybe what I'm looking at is I might be looking at some other individuals that I track, and I might have them in another group. Maybe I've got another column, let's say, for maybe some past clients that I'm curious to find out, what are they doing? So the nice thing about this is it really allows you the ability to also make a decision at the moment. Well, maybe I don't have time to deal with or look at even what's happening with my past clients, but maybe I really need to look at my clients today. So you decide the columns. You decide the groups. You can change groups, add groups. The thing that I love is that, let's say if I'm looking at these 2 columns and there's somebody that is in one column that I also want to be in another column, you can add people to groups. It's literally you can drag and drop, or you can just click on the button and let and say I want to add this person to the group. So the interface is fairly easy. It looks a little bit overwhelming when you first get in, but the minute you start playing with it, it's actually pretty simple. Fran, you've got the arrow clicking or looking right at the icon of the person. So why don't you share a little bit now about what you wanted to talk about with that?
Icon of the person.
Oh, now you've moved over. Now you're on the power of list.
The power of list, right? That was corresponding to what you were saying. Where I left it, the arrow is pointing all the way to the left-hand column. Again, this is just a column on the paid version that gets into analytics and all kinds of stuff. If you are into analytics, you want to be measuring all of that kind of stuff. But yeah, if you get into just a look at the person and the tops of these columns, what we're looking at right now is a column I have for the Loners Group. I'm following the Loners Group and Denise Loners, and you can see Denise over there. When you click on that person's name, you can actually, get some information about them. Let me see here. Let me pull one up here. I've got one with me. Click on my name, and it pulls up a user profile. So anytime you click on the name of somebody you're following, or want to follow, or you want to check them out, you can get some very, very interesting information. If you click on that name, you can see how many followers that person has. You can see how many persons that person is following, how many updates they've actually made in their account, and what their clout score is. The clout score is a score of influence, and that's a way that Twitter measures a person's influence in social media, and that's based on people who retweet what they say and the amount of engagement they have on what they determine is good type of sharing and links and that sort of thing. So people have a clout score. It gives you a little bit of information about them, and then you can click on and see the timeline, which is just the history of their most recent tweets. Who's mentioned them. What are some of their favorite things, and then you can get some insights into them to decide. So there's a lot of valuable information. If you're going to be working with clients or people and engaging with them, it's kind of neat because you can get all of this insight, intelligence about people on Twitter that was never available anywhere else. You've got some very, very expensive tools for gathering intelligence, but Hootsuite is a place where you can do a lot of background checking and just get a feel for the person. They're going to tell you who they are in a very, very short burst, and you're going to get a very good idea about what people are like with the conversation they have.
And I want to add something here, Fran. That's really that just happened to a client of mine. What they did is this particular client, I got them all excited about Hootsuite about a month ago, and just last week they contacted me and they said Hootsuite helped me sell a home. And I said, well, tell me how did Hootsuite help you do that? And basically what they did is they had put them into a group of clients that they were currently working with. And what had happened is this particular client, the agent had taken them out and shown them a bunch of homes, and what the client wrote about on Facebook and what the client said on Facebook was, trying to make a decision between two homes, really am overwhelmed, don't know which is the better neighborhood. The agent then saw that, and that evening prepared a complete analysis comparing the two different neighborhoods, how they had appreciated over the last 5 years and or depreciated. And what they did is they then just conveniently sent that over to that particular buyer the next morning. That evening, the buyer calls and says, I can't believe it. This is a challenge we were having. We didn't know where to go with this. Thank you so much for this information. It was exactly what we needed at exactly the right moment. So that's why I call it my spy dashboard, because it kind of lets you see what other people are concerned about. And I really, in business, any edge that you can get is important. The other thing that I just want to say about Hootsuite is that it has a really fantastic stats section. And we're not going to go into stats a lot, but I just do want you to know just a couple of quick things about that. The whole idea on Hootsuite, if you want to really see what's going on, if you want to measure your influence, you can literally see the total number of clicks per day that people are clicking on with every individual, let's say, message you've sent out or anything that you've tweeted. You can also check and see the geographical profile of, where is this interest coming from, or what websites is the interest in. You can get stats, as I said, for every single tweet you send out. So this is a very powerful, very, very powerful tool. And if you can play around with it and learn how to use it, I think it's going to be absolutely invaluable.
what I do is I hit
wonderful. And it gives you a chance to repeat what other people are saying and give them kind of a little bit of a boost in whatever message they're trying to send. What we're looking at right now is a screenshot of respond to them, directly and other people don't see it. But I chose to retweet Denise's message, and I hit the little retweet button at the right there, at the bottom right. And then if you take a look above it, you can see the RT and then Denise's handle, the Wellness Group, and an exact copy of her message that popped up into my entry bar. So when I hit send now, when I did that, it resent that message out to everybody in my sphere. So when you have a message and people can share that message, that becomes a good thing for you. That becomes a really good way to make your message very, very viral. And that's a really neat way to broadcast. So developing relationships with people, having people who are happy to share your message is one of the aims and objectives that you want when you start engaging online. Because the more people that you have who are friendly, who will share what you have to say, the more eyes and ears and people you will reach over time. I sent that message out as myself. I had a chance to send that actually, as a variety of people. I use the paid version of Hootsuite. And what you're looking at right now is a little bar on my screen that shows the identities that I use when I'm working on Hootsuite. I have three identities on Twitter that are marked with a little T there. And those are different Twitter accounts. I have my regular account in my name. I have another one with the same picture that's called Fractured Poet, and that's a different account I use to engage with people who are, in a kind of the coach world, coachdom. You see the little Uncle Sam picture. That's my Twitter account for HUD homes. I have a special Twitter account for HUD homes that I use, and that's very, very targeted, very, very neat. Not everybody in my following is really that interested in HUD homes, but there are a lot of people who are specifically interested in HUD homes, and so I use that account to be retweeting and to be doing lots of very, very special kind of engagement in a niche market. Next to Uncle Sam, to the right of him, you see my picture again with the F, the Facebook F, and that is my Facebook profile page. So I can actually post to my Facebook profile page from Hootsuite if I click that. To the right of that is a series of pictures. You see Uncle Sam and a little gladiator and some other avatars with the little flag there. Well, those flags represent Facebook fan pages that I administer, that I own and administer. And if I want to work from Hootsuite to administer those fan pages, I can. I can also follow the activity on my fan pages within Hootsuite, within those columns, so I don't have to visit Facebook.com. I don't have to go to the site, manually. To be honest, I'm not really crazy about the engagement from Hootsuite to fan pages yet. Now, I think it's going to evolve over time. The one shortcoming that is at Hootsuite right now relative to Facebook and fan page engagement is the fact that when you have a link and you're sharing a link from Hootsuite, the link appears in Facebook as a blue link, but there's no corresponding avatar. There's no picture. You know how you get that little thumbnail picture that comes when you post at Facebook? That doesn't happen yet when you're posting from Hootsuite. I think that probably is on a list of things to do. I'm sure that that's something that will be coming soon. I can't wait till that happens. It'll make it a little bit more efficient. But in the meantime, it still is a really, really neat way to work there. One of the other powerful things about Hootsuite that I love is the fact that you can time your tweets. So you can time your messages, and there's tweets and flips and this language is still funny to me. I mean, even after each of these years, but you can time your tweets, you can schedule them, and I use this mostly with my HUD homes identity. What I will do is I will retweet people who are talking about HUD homes in different parts of the country in different market areas. But instead of going in and seeing 10 people and then getting 10 tweets out in a 5-minute period, what I will do is I will go and I'll time them. So I may time them a half-hour interval or hour interval. So my HUD homes avatar will be appearing in HUD Homes engagement, all day long in many cases when I do that. So I may time them at an hour apart, and again, it'll be retweets. It will be engaging with people, hopefully building up a little bit of social capital, helping people spread their message about HUD Homes around the country. I had a really interesting one yesterday with, and I was able to do some retweeting for a lady I know very, very well. Her name is Missy Clark in Ann Arbor, Michigan. And Missy was sharing some blog links. You see, I chose my HUD Homes avatar. She was sharing some blog links about HUD Homes, and I saw her in my HUD Homes feed. So I was able to retweet those. Missy is in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and it was interesting. I saw the dates on the post. They were a little bit dated. They were a little bit older. But, so what? Missy is a smart blogger. She's one of the best bloggers in the country. She's been around for a long, long time. And she knows the power of those blog posts. Hootsuite gives you an opportunity to go back and work with blog posts, work with new blog posts, old blog posts, whatever you have, and recycle them. If the message is still current, if the message is still valid, go and work with that a little bit. If you have something happening in your market area, festivals, attractions, anything, you can go. It doesn't have to be only the most recent blog posts. You can go and you can work with that stuff and recycle that. I think that was a really smart thing she did. We're still talking about lists a little bit. I have a whole bunch of lists, and I follow my lists individually on Hootsuite. I have a separate column for every single list that I have, just as Denise does, and I follow those. Yesterday, I moved Denise over to one of my lists, the Half of Women Thought Leaders. I think Denise has lots of really interesting things to say. That's not a list where I have a whole bunch of people, so it's not real fluid. It doesn't move real fast, but I know that whatever comes up in that column is something that I spend a little time and I like to study it. So some of your lists will be really big. I have a real estate list that has hundreds of people on it. I've got some lists that are really, really huge. But I have some lists that are very, very special. And if there are people that have a message and people, that I want to follow closely in a certain topical area, I'll do that. So I don't necessarily need to follow the Lonus group separately. There were some. Sometimes you like to follow a company, you like to follow a competitor, you like to follow somebody just to see what they're doing when they're doing a really, really good job. Or you may want to follow them in a list. So depending upon how much time you want to spend on Hootsuite, you can make that kind of a choice. But I think that was a really neat place to stick to, Denise.
I also have I have some of my clients, agents that are following their competitors to see what are they doing, why did that person beat me out on a listing presentation. The thing that I love about Hootsuite is, as Fran just talked about, the calendaring and scheduling option. So for me, if I am on the road or let's say, for example, I'm teaching a class, and I knew that I'd be teaching a class this week, so the messages that I sent out this week weren't created this week, let's say. I may have created them a few days ago. And all you do is you go in and you say, here's what I want to say on Wednesday, and it could be Monday. And all you have to do is go in and schedule it, and it will get sent out. You will get an email notification. That's a really nice feature, especially for the agents that are listening. Busy agents need that. So I really like that. I do want to talk, Fran, just for a quick second, because anyone that's new to Hootsuite, I just want to explain one thing. When you come into the dashboard and you're looking at the dashboard, you're going to see a number of different columns, as we talked about, and I want to just explain what these columns, what they mean. Not when we get to lists. We're going to talk about lists in just a second, but you'll have your home feed, which, as Fran said, that's going to cover and have all of the people that you're following. There's also a column of mentions, and I want to explain mentions and talk about it a little bit because it's very important. I love the mentions column because what I get to see is anyone that even liked anything that I had done, or maybe they didn't like something that I have done, and they somehow mentioned me. And I'll give you an example of how this came in handy for me. About a month ago, I had somebody mention me in terms of, I'd written a zebra report, and they had mentioned, I didn't know this person. This person was halfway across the country, and they mentioned to somebody else in another part of the country that the zebra report was very well written that week, and that they'd been following it for a while. And they said to this other person, "You've got to get on the zebra report." What that did for me is it gave me an opportunity to watch to see, did the person actually go on and sign up to get on the zebra report? Well, in this case they did, but it gave me an opportunity to send a special message to them after they signed up and said, "Hey, thank you so much. I hope you enjoy reading it. If you have any questions, feel free to email me back." And the response I got back from this person was incredible. She said, "I have never signed up for any kind of an online newsletter or report and actually had the principal or the writer of this report contact me personally." She knew it was a personal contact because of the way the email was written. I couldn't have done that without being able to see my mentions. Then there's also the column for direct messages, and then the other two columns you'll see is for pending. And that's where I see all of my pending messages that I've set up on the calendar function to go out, the schedulers. So I can look and see, okay, I'm good to go. I've got my messages, for the next week or the next few days. And then it also, of course, has a sent column. So I just wanted to talk about that because sometimes people get confused on the main dashboard, and then when you move to the list, there's like, well, what's the difference here? And the lists are the categories of the people that you have specifically said that you want to follow.
Yep, and I've got that mentions column showing right now in the center of the slide that's up right now. And again, that is a really, really important tool. It's also an important tool to watch just for the sake of being polite. There is an etiquette, an online etiquette, and for people who are interested in online etiquette and niceties, when somebody goes out of their way and does a retweet or shares your message, you generally see that in your mentions column. And when you see that in your mentions column, it's a nice thing just to, to click on a reply or another way and just say thanks for doing that. Maybe at the end of the day, if 5 people have retweeted you, you can create a tweet and say thanks, and then just list those 5 people and just say thanks for the retweet. So it's just a measure of courtesy, a way to be polite, again, another way to engage. And when people do that, it's just a nice way to say thanks. And you don't know about that unless you're watching your mentions column. You don't know who's retweeting you and who's not.
Excellent.
Yeah, so that's kind of neat. Again, I'm looking at a tab here right now. The tabs show those different columns. My HUD Homes tab, I find my HUD Homes engagement is quite interesting, and I get some very interesting discussions going there and questions. A lot of people around the country will ask me questions now and then on things that are pending in their own market. What you can see right now is a woman who's actually having some problems with a transaction. She was having problems actually even getting a HUD house for quite some time, and we had a dialogue about that. In fact, these days she's asking me how she can file a complaint about a problem that she's having with a closing agent. Now, hopefully, the closing agents and the asset managers and the people on the HUD in the HUD arena are starting to use this because, again, Twitter is a very important customer service tool. Not a lot of them are. We're going to have some of them on our HUD calls coming up shortly. I think some of them really need to get on the stick here because people are complaining online. I'm not really seeing a lot of HUD asset managers or closing agents or vendors responding much. I do see PEMCO. PEMCO is very, very active online. PEMCO is about the most active asset manager online. So I think we're going to be seeing more of that. And for those of you who have input there, I think we want to talk about getting those guys on the stick. Again, here we're taking another closer look at those analytics on the paid platform, and you can take a look at your contacts. You can work with your settings. A lot of neat tools. Lots of really good ways of getting very, very busy and active, and lots of discussion, coming up in the real short term. We've been having a lot of these webcasts. We have a lot of them in the vault here, for our Club HUD members. We're really happy to be able to share this one today with the people at large. And if you are a member of Club HUD, or if you are presently a student of the Government Home Sales Professional Program, you have access to all of these recordings and access to all upcoming events, in the short term. As of yesterday, I talked with some asset managers and field service managers working with some listing brokers, and June's going to be a really fun month to be talking to these people personally on our webcast, so I'm looking forward to that.
Well, I want to do just a little bit of a recap, just so that people can get a feel of Hootsuite and the importance of it. I think the key thing I want all of the listeners to hear today is that Hootsuite can be an organizational tool. It can be a spy tool or a watching tool. The word spy is not really a positive word. It can really be a client care tool so that you can see what people are talking about, and you can use it as a way to engage in a positive manner and to, as I did with that particular person, reach out and go to the next level, do something above and beyond. For me, I love it because it just saves me so much time. It allows me to schedule messages ahead of time. It allows me to see what other people are talking about. And I think that's a really key thing. Now, especially for those agents that are working with HUD homes, I think it's really important to position yourself as that expert within your social media networks, because one of the things that I'm seeing, and Fran, I know you are too, is that there's not a lot of agents are doing a really great job of talking about and informing and educating about HUD homes within their networks, and it's almost like it is part of their business and what they do, but they're not talking about it a lot. So I really think that it provides a fantastic opportunity, just an incredible opportunity to engage. So I just really want to also, in terms of a kind of a recap and a summary, keep it simple. Go into Hootsuite. Start by opening up your account. Very, very simple. If it's overwhelming at first, start with adding one of your social networking accounts. Then once you've mastered that, add the next one. When you start to build your one list, master that, then build another list. And it kind of gets exciting. I remember the first day that I went on and got my list. I was like a kid in a candy store. It was because the minute you see your list coming to life, like when I put my clients on there and it was like instant, I could see what they were talking about. It just, for me, was an absolute rush. I loved it. And, since then, it's just, to have this information at my fingertips when I'm traveling and I am, mobile a lot, to have the information is invaluable for me, and the time saving. So keep it simple. Start out slow. Also, if you get overwhelmed, you can definitely go to the Hootsuite site. They do have a lot of great information there, some tutorials there to help you with the basics. And if you're ever unsure or have a question, you can email me, Denise at the Lonis Group. You can also definitely be in contact with Fran as well. Fran, what are your comments? Any review comments that you'd like to share? Well, Fran has disappeared for just a moment. So let me kind of just finalize and give you some closing thoughts. Like a lot of the social networking sites that are out there, like a lot of the new tools that are out there, what you're going to find is this is just one more tool. There are other dashboards out there as well. Find the dashboard that works for you. I just personally, from the dashboards that I have looked at and researched, this is easy for me to use. The interface is easy. I really like how simple it is, and for me, time is of the essence, so I need something that's simple, something that's fast, and something that does the job. This absolutely, positively does the job for me. Start out simple. And don't get yourself too overwhelmed. Hootsuite's a great product. I mean, it is a really great tool for your business. And, especially if you're going to be an expert in the HUD homes arena, start talking about HUD homes online. Let people see your value. Let them see the expertise that you have. We have gone through now a number of different webinars that we have shared with you. The webinar today, Put Your Microblogging on Steroids with Hootsuite, is just another. We've got a number of them coming up. On May 20th, we've got the blog tips and tricks that we're going to be talking about. On May 27th, we've actually got the how to do an online and an offline HUD seminar. And we're going to talk about event planning and what that looks like. It's really going to be, that's going to be a great webinar, because for a lot of agents that are listening, they don't have a clue where to start with that. And you're going to love this, because not only are we going to tell you how to do the planning, but we're going to give you the content you need to actually do the seminar as well. In June, we are going to do a segment called Meet the Asset Manager. Excited about that one. I think it's going to be really important for you to hear firsthand what asset managers are experiencing, what they're looking for, what are the important things that they're looking for in the agents that are helping to get those HUD homes sold. And we also are going to do a local listing broker roundtable and much more. So if you have any questions, feel free. Just send me an email, denise@thelonisgroup.com. You can also email fran@blogmilla.com. If you've got any questions, just please feel free to send an email, and we will get back with you as soon as we possibly can. Till next time, get out there and really get your research done about those HUD homes and start playing around with dashboards like Hootsuite. And, every week just add something new to your business that stretches you as a professional. And learning a new dashboard like Hootsuite just takes it to the next level. So thanks for joining us today, and look forward to talking to you and sharing some more information next week. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.